We're talking about a car that corporate accountants labeled an absolute total financial disaster. Yet somehow it morphed into a legendary automotive masterpiece. You know, in an industry usually run by strict bean counters and tiny profit margins, the story of this machine is just a wild anomaly. We're going to break down exactly how a massive perceived failure turned into a highly coveted, timeless piece of automotive history. Section 1. The start of the Lexus LFA creation. And to really get this, we have to go right back to the beginning, where this whole project kicked off with seemingly zero financial constraints, driven purely by the passion of Akio Toyoda. Now, at first glance, this car was a total disaster for Toyota's bottom line. The research and engineering costs were just astronomically high. I mean, they knew from day one they were never going to recoup their investment. It was literally a massive money-losing halo product. And the crazy part? Dealerships actually struggled to sell them. The price tag was sky high, and, well, the Lexus badge was known for quiet, comfy luxury sedans, so buyers just kind of didn't get it. Get this. A full decade after the 500-unit production run ended, there were still brand new, unsold LFAs just sitting on dealer lots gathering dust. Wild, right? And you gotta look at the sheer amount of time it took to build this thing. It's honestly staggering. They started with a rough track idea at the Shibetsu Proving Ground back in the year 2000. It took 5 whole years just to get the first aluminum prototypes built in 2005. But then, the final production model didn't drop until 2009. That is a grueling 10-year gestation period to bring this absolutely obsessive vision to life. And a huge reason for that massive gap between the 2005 prototype and the 2009 debut? Well, it comes down to a monumental mid-project pivot that most automakers wouldn't even dream of attempting. That brings us to Section 2, carbon fiber and pure engineering. Let's see just how fanatical Toyota's engineers were about getting this car absolutely perfect. So halfway through development, after spending millions of dollars and years of time, the engineering team has a realization. The aluminum they're using just isn't good enough to hit their weight and rigidity targets. So what do? They literally scrap 5 years of research and development and start over with carbon fiber. But, and here's the kicker, instead of outsourcing the new carbon fiber tub like almost every other supercar maker out there, Toyota leans back on its historical roots as a textile loom maker. They spent even more time and money inventing and building their very own 3D carbon fiber looms in-house, just so they could control every single millimeter of the weave. And man, did that obsession with detail pay off. They used a front mid-engine layout, which shoves the engine block entirely behind the front axle. Why does that matter for us? It dramatically lowers the pull moment of inertia, meaning this car can turn in and pivot with razor-sharp precision. The chassis was so technologically advanced that the top of its engine sat below the top of its tires. That gives it a center of gravity just 17.75 inches off the ground. That's lower than a modern GR86 sports car. They were so desperate to shave off every possible ounce of weight, they even impregnated the fiberglass body panels with microscopic glass balloons. Talk about extreme.
All right, moving to Section 3. The V10 engine and magical sound. Because all of that brilliant chassis engineering was really just the cradle for the LFA's beating heart. Toyota actually partnered directly with Yamaha to create an absolute monster. We're looking at a 4.8-liter naturally aspirated V10 that's famously smaller than a standard Toyota V6, yet it punches out 560 horsepower. It's packed with Formula One level materials, titanium valves, titanium connecting rods, and 10 individual throttle bodies for absolutely instant throttle response. And crucially, they used a subterranean dry sump oil mounting system. This eliminated the bulky oil pan at the bottom, letting them mount the block extremely low in the chassis to get that insane center of gravity we just talked about.
Now, check out this number, because it is mind-bending. 0.6 seconds. That is exactly how long it takes this engine to freely rev from idle all the way up to its 9,000 RPM red line. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 135,000 revolutions per second. It revs so aggressively fast that Toyota realized a traditional physical analog gauge was entirely useless. The needle literally couldn't keep up with the engine, so they had to design a specialized digital tachometer screen just for this car.
As one reviewer famously put it, it makes race car sounds, a 10-cylinder symphony.
And they aren't exaggerating even a little bit. Yamaha's musical instrument division, yeah, the same people who make grand pianos and concert acoustics, were put in charge of tuning the exhaust and intake notes. They designed the engine's surge tank specifically to act like a wind instrument, channeling those high-frequency wails directly into the cabin. The result? It creates this deeply emotional, visceral acoustic experience that is just completely unlike any other vehicle on the road.
Which leads us to Section 4, comparison with the Porsche Carrera GT. We know it sounds incredible, and the engineering is peerless, but how does this Japanese masterpiece actually stack up against the German royalty of its era? Let's take it to the track.
When we look at these stats side by side, you can see exactly what the LFA was up against. The Carrera GT packs a larger 5.7-liter V10, giving it a clear advantage in raw power, 612 horsepower compared to the Lexus's 560. The Porsche is also lighter, weighing in at just 1,380 kilograms. And while the Carrera GT features a highly engaging, traditional 6-speed manual gearbox, the LFA relies on a rather clunky single-clutch automated manual transmission with roots tracing all the way back to the Toyota MR2. So on paper, it definitely looks like an uphill battle for the Lexus.
But get them out on a runway for a rolling quarter-mile drag race and the dynamic totally shifts. It is a razor-thin, edge-of-your-seat photo finish. The lighter, torquier Porsche barely edges out the Lexus by a mere 1/10 of a second, 12.1 versus 12.2. The fact that the supposedly heavier, underpowered Lexus could hang neck and neck with one of Germany's most legendary hypercars, that proved Toyota's relentless engineering optimization truly translated to real-world track performance.
So here's the crucial takeaway. While the Carrera GT is undeniably a fraction faster in a straight line, it's also notoriously difficult and sometimes even terrifying to drive. It lacks modern electronic aids and has a super snappy carbon clutch. On the flip side, the LFA absolutely destroyed the Porsche in braking tests, thanks to its modern ABS. Plus, it's actually manageable on normal roads. It basically proves that the LFA is a far more refined, comfortable, and reliable hypercar to live with day in and day out, without sacrificing an ounce of that blistering track capability.
Finally, Section 5, the enduring legacy of a supercar. To really grasp what the LFA means today, we have to look past those dreadful initial sales numbers and see what it actually left behind for the automotive world.
Remember how the accountants called this a massive failure? Well, look at the trajectory now. It originally priced around $340,000, and Lexus even had to implement a strict lease-to-own program just to stop speculators from flipping them for a quick profit. But more importantly, the sheer obsessive development of the LFA essentially birthed Toyota's modern Gazoo racing performance division. It kicked off the whole Morizo racing legacy that gives us amazing cars like the GR Yaris today. And the financial side? Collectors completely recognize its genius now, driving its value up to well over $750,000. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Was the Lexus LFA an accounting failure, or was it the greatest JDM masterpiece ever built? Because sometimes, completely ignoring the balance sheet is the only way to build a true legend. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.